Hi there, this is Dr. Paul Firnhaber. It's Wednesday and time for 10 minutes of truth. So today I have three articles that I want to talk to you about. One is from British Medical Journal, October 9th of 2023. And the name of this article is called Social, Clinical, and Policy Implications of Ultra-Processed Food Addiction. The other article is from JAMA Dermatology, and this is from this past November 27th. And the name of this food is called Ultra-Processed Food Intake and Psoriasis. And then I have one more from the Wall Street Journal, which was March 13th, 2024. And the name of this article is What Ultra-Processed Food Does to Brains. So we're going to start out with the one from British Medical Journal. And this journal starts out by saying that ultra-processed foods are the major source of refined carbohydrates and added fats in the diet. They say in this article that the prevalence of levels of addiction for ultra-processed food is very similar to other legal substances, like 14% for alcohol addiction and 18% for tobacco addiction in adults. But the level of implied addiction in children is unprecedented, which means kids are addicted to ultra-processed food. They're fed it in their school lunches a lot, they're fed it at home, and they're addicted. The prevalence of food addiction is 32% in people with obesity, bariatric surgery, which that wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm surprised it's that low. And over 50% of those with binge eating disorders. Food addiction is also associated with core mechanisms of addiction, such as reward-related neural dysfunction, impulsivity, emotional dysregulation, as well as poor physical and mental health and lower quality of life. Refined carbohydrates and refined fats, which you get in ultra-processed foods, evoke very similar levels of addiction in the brain as nicotine and alcohol, which is pretty interesting. If you look at, one other thing that I want to bring out in this article, industrial produced foods containing ingredients not available in home kitchens, which are found in ultra-processed foods, are the main source of refined carbohydrates and added fats in the modern food supply. Now, if you look at natural foods, let's say an apple, you have 100 grams of an apple, it has 55 calories of carbohydrate and 1.5 grams of fat. So this carbohydrate-fat ratio is very different. If you look at salmon, 100 grams of salmon has 0 carbohydrates and 73 calories of fat. But if you look at ultra-processed foods, like 100 grams of a chocolate bar, contains 237 calories from carbs and 266 calories from fat. So you almost have this one-to-one ratio, and it's this high amount of both fat and refined carbohydrates in ultra-processed foods that causes this addictive process in people. It says the combination of refined carbohydrates and fats, often found in ultra-processed foods, seems to have a super additive effect on brain reward systems above either macronutrient alone, which increases the addictive potential of these foods. Additives that aim to improve flavor and mouthfeel are also common in cigarettes, including sugar, cocoa, menthol, and alkaline salt. So the same foods, the same addictive substances that they put in foods to make them more addictive, they also put in cigarettes, which is one of the primary reasons cigarettes are so addictive. In fact, it's a lot of these chemicals in the cigarettes that cause the addiction even more than the nicotine. Artificial sweeteners bind to receptors in the gut, increasing the capacity to absorb glucose, which is why when people eat foods with a lot of artificial sweeteners, they actually gain weight. Now, this article in JAMA Dermatology called Ultra-Processed Food Intake and Psoriasis is from several authors from France. And the article says that the role of diet in reduced inflammation and improved quality of life may be explained by its pro and anti-inflammatory action in the pathogenesis of inflammatory disease. In other words, diet is a really important process in whether your body's inflamed or not inflamed. Ultra-processed food intake has been associated with various diseases, including type 2 diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, and inflammatory bowel disease. Recent results in this study showed an association between ultra-processed food intake and active psoriasis. So think about this. If you're out there and you have psoriasis and you're eating a lot of ultra-processed food, your psoriasis may get a lot better if you get that out of your diet. A study limitation in this study includes that French general population has notably a healthier dietary habits than other populations, which might have led to an underestimation of associated levels detected. In other words, the levels of psoriasis in people eating ultra-processed food might be a lot higher than this article suggests. Because it was done in France and French people eat healthier, it might have been a confounding factor in lowering the incidence. Now, one other article, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. This is an article out of the Wall Street Journal. It says what ultra-processed food does to brains. And it says ultra-processed food may not only affect our bodies, but brains too. New research suggests links between ultra-processed foods such as chips, many cereals, and most packaged snacks at the grocery store, and the changes in the way that we learn, remember, and feel. These foods act like addictive substances, researchers say, and some scientists are proposing a new mental health condition such as ultra-processed food use disorder. And they found in this article, in this study, that looking at PET scans of the brain with people that had just ate ultra-processed foods and then tried to solve puzzles and things like that, that ultra-processed food changes the way the brain functions. And that's really the gist of this article. It says ultra-processed foods increase depression and anxiety and sleep problems. So if you have sleep issues, if you have anxiety issues, and you're eating a lot of ultra-processed foods, you may want to stop, okay? Because this article from the Wall Street Journal says that ultra-processed foods change the way the brain functions. This article from British Medical Journal basically said some of the same things in a different way. And then the JAMA Dermatology article showed that ultra-processed food is involved with active psoriasis. So the takeaway from this, obviously, is you need to either eliminate or very, very much minimize the amount of ultra-processed foods in your diet. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your brain. It's not good for your health. So if you can, eliminate those as much as possible. So this is, I'm Dr. Paul Firnhaber, and I'm at Lincoln Disc and Nutrition Center here in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you want to contact our office and talk to me more about your health, our number is 402-488-2220. Have a great day, and keep that ultra-processed food to a minimum in your diet. We'll see you next week.